Welcome back to another Monday night edition of our Fantasy Sports Insight Showdown breakdown. This is Hold the Door DFS. I'm really excited. I love niche sports. They're less covered by most providers, and I think there is definitely an edge in showdowns and in other sports that are just a little bit less popular, which for me in cash games, I find a lot of leverage and profit doing that. So, really excited. The Sunday night game right now is finishing up. Seattle is up, 35-23. Chris Carson just kind of got a little bit of bailout touchdown. I really wasn't on Carson tonight just because the snap share was less than 50% last game, and he has been playing a little bit more tonight, but we still have seen a lot of Carlos Hyde. Saw Homer out there a couple times, but getting this touchdown through the air again at the end of the game is pretty incredible. But Russell Wilson continues to be just a cornerstone of their team. DK Metcalf made some amazing catches tonight. And Tyler Lockett just had the clear, obvious best matchup compared to the two. But DK's ability to make great catches has kind of equalized that a little bit. And Julian Edelman also is just going insane now. So it was one of those slates where there was some value obviously opened up with James White, but let's hop into tomorrow's slate or tonight's slate if you are listening today. So again, if there's things that you'd like to see on any of our DFS content, whether it's my showdown breakdowns or our roundtable on Wednesdays or anything else that we are putting out there, give us some feedback. We would love to hear about it because we are always looking for things to add to our content. One of those things is maybe streaming some video games with what we think might come. So Cam Newton with another 1-yard touchdown. That is going to be the Cam season. It might be 20 rushing touchdowns or something crazy like that. All right. Let's get into it. The Raiders are 6-point underdogs here and a 50-point over under. We know the big news is Michael Thomas being out. I think because it was obviously so known ahead of time, the pricing certainly was adjusted for that. Seeing Emmanuel Sanders at 8,800, Jared Cook at 8,000, and even Smith at 6,400. All these guys, I think, and even Kamara getting 11.4. All these guys, I think, prices went up because they knew Michael Thomas was out, and those are some big shoes to fill. So let's start on the New Orleans side. I think Drew Brees, in cash is definitely viable at 10.6. I don't love him in this matchup without his best receiver. I think. Yes, the Saints are very efficient, have a high yards per play, but they also like to really control the game. They like to have the 12, 14 play drives that take up 7 or 8 minutes, get the third down. They don't have the explosive long throws that they're normally used to seeing. Now, obviously adding Emmanuel Sanders, Kamara has the ability to, bust a big one. But I think we're going to see Kamara just still continue to get those opportunities with the short passing game. He's going to get some attempts on the ground. But Latavius Murray, 15 carries last week. That's pretty insane. So just to break down New Orleans, Kamara is my number one favorite target. And the price tag is insane. But if you fade him in cash, I think that's really a negative expected value play. Drew Brees, I'm kind of fringe. I'll probably play him, but I don't really love it at this point. Jacobs, this is a complete opposite matchup of what he got against Carolina, but I think the price at 9,600 is so cheap. I actually think he's going to be pretty popular in the captain spot, just because he's still going to get the volume and he's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he was like second on the team in targets or something last week with 6 or 7. So I think Jacobs is actually going to be really popular just overall still, not only because of the game logs, but because I think he still just is their best player. Derek Carr, meh. I think he's fine, but I think he'd be really game script dependent on if he can get if they are down a couple scores, and they will be chucking. Emmanuel Sanders obviously gets a bump here with no Michael Thomas along with Jared Cook. I think before Thomas was out, I think we would have saw Jared Cook like maybe 6,500 or 7,000, which I would have liked a lot more, because I do think this matchup is really nice, especially with Vegas having one of their inside linebackers injured. But I do prefer going down to Waller here, just because I think the receiving options for Derek Carr are not as great. So I do like Waller. Ruggs is kind of injured. He tweaked his knee, so I don't really love him at 6,800. I think he obviously has big play potential. And if you watch the game last week, he did get tackled at the 1 yard line, which ended up being a Jacobs touchdown, but took away a touchdown from Ruggs and Carr that went to Jacobs. So he has big playability, but I'm probably not going to play Ruggs in cash or Smith. Smith only one target last week. I think people are all on him in season long to spend a lot of money that he's going to be a long-term replacement. But I think more of that volume is going to go to Emmanuel Sanders and Jared Cook. Moving down here, I've kind of gone between both teams here, but Nelson Aguilar had one catch for 23 yards and a touchdown last week. 5,200 or 5,400. I'd prefer to either go, defense or kickers over Aguilar, at least in cash. Renfro, obviously, he's a little slot guy. He can do okay. I just don't know that the volume is going to be there. Bryan Edwards, he only had one target last week, but he did play 46 snaps. So it's actually, quite a bit of snaps for the first game, but only to one target. It's kind of like what we're seeing tonight with Dominique Byrd for New England, but he's like priced at 1.4K or 2,000 or something, not 50 or 4,800. So Edwards is probably a pass for me. Lutz and Carlson are always great. Obviously would prefer them if they were playing in New Orleans in the Dome. But Latavius Murray, 15 carries last week, 48 yards. Obviously, he's probably not going to catch any balls out of the backfield, but he does have some touchdown equity. Obviously, in the past, he was one of the ones that was getting the short yardage touchdown carries. We did actually see some of those go to Kamara last week. So I don't think there's always a rhyme or reason for it, but I think Latavius Murray is definitely in play. Going down, Taysom Hill, obviously he's like the showdown X factor, and he's always super cheap. He can do something or nothing. He had three in the first game, 3 rushing attempts, 13 yards. And he threw one ball for 38 yards. I don't remember who it was to. But, it's always some weird trick plays. But, maybe with Thomas out, he just has a little bit of more of an increased role, or they need to be a little bit more creative on offense. So at, 2,200, if he gets me, I don't know, 5 to 10 points, I'm pretty happy at that price tag. Devontae Booker at 1,800, played actually a decent amount. We do know Jacobs was in the game a ton, but he caught 3 passes for 23 yards, had 29 yards rushing. At 1.8 thousand, it's not a bad play, especially I think he would potentially be used in more of those passing situations where if they're losing or they're down, he could be in play. Super flyer, Jason Witten, I don't really like, but he's alive and he's playing and he's super cheap. Ty Montgomery, I don't know. They talked about using him more often. Super flyer, 200. He did see the field last game. Not really somebody I'm on. But for the values, again, I really like Taysom Hill as just somebody that could, do something. He obviously can, score a rushing touchdown, or Devontae Booker. Those are my 2 favorite down here that I really like. Deontay Harris, had a catch last week, so maybe he sees a little bit more of an increased role with Michael Thomas out. But it seems a little bit riskier than Hill and Devontae Booker. So Those are your values. Like it's kind of like tonight's slate. Like there is some value under here. Under the kicker is Latavius Murray. Obviously, is going to play. He's not going to put up 0. So take your picks, and maybe if we hear a little bit more tomorrow on where you're going to see, maybe they're going to talk about who's going to be starting at the receiver position. But I think in cash, you definitely start with Kamara. Jacobs, just due to the price and the volume, I think is going to be really important. And then, in cash, you'll likely go Breeze. Otherwise you're picking maybe between one of the Breeze's targets and Emmanuel Sanders or Jared Cook, or pair up Carr with Waller. I like both those options, but hopefully, again, this breakdown helps you kind of start your builds, get your mindset on the entire slate as a whole. And then hopefully you are become a subscriber with us in our Discord channel. We have core plays for every slate. I will be, covering FanDuel and DraftKings slate. We have every sport is covered, but this is free content. So please subscribe and make sure that you support us. It just helps a ton. Yeah, that's about it. All right, signing out. Going to catch the rest of this game where Bill Belichick is coming to life at the end of the game again. He's got a chance to win it. Let's see if Cam can do it. All right, signing out.